to be back for you today. It's been about a week since we've been on here, so we're just so excited about today's topic, which is double jeopardy. We have an amazing doctor that's with us today, our former board of director, Dr. Rolandria. You're going to hear from her today. We're excited to jump in to this conversation. Before we jump in, I'm going to just do a quick few housekeeping items. Wherever you're watching us from, just show us a little bit of love. Tell us where you're from, put it into the chat or comment box, whether it's Facebook Live, LinkedIn Live, YouTube Live. We want to acknowledge you. We are so appreciative to be able to share this space with you. So just put it into the chat box or the comment box if you can, so that we can recognize you. We also want to get this message out. So do us a favor and share this post. Whether you're watching on Facebook, share it. If you're watching on YouTube, when you're done with it, take that little link like I do at the end and send it to your loved ones and say, check out this Fireside chat. It was the bomb. I don't think they use that word anymore, by the way. But please share it. We want to get this message out. It's important for us to raise awareness about what Black women are going through. So we're going to get started. Let's stop the music. Thank you. Awesome. So I'm going to introduce our executive director, who's going to introduce our guest today, Dr. Rolandria. But before we do that, I wanted to quickly just mention that we have officially launched our ATL Rise podcast November 8th on election day. And so you might be seeing a little bit of the previews going on our social media pages. We want you to definitely support it, but we'll be streamlining it very soon. So live streaming it very soon. So please stay tuned and stay connected for the date that we will be officially showing it to the public. But today we are lifting up the issues again of Black women, and our topic today is double jeopardy. And the reason why we chose this topic is because we understand that Black women overall are dealing with very unique challenges and issues. It's been historic in our country that Black women tend to deal with double jeopardy. We tend to deal with double discrimination. So not just being a woman, but also being Black. These are the kind of topics that we believe are important to lift up in our families, in our community, in our society. So today we're going to be hearing from an expert, Dr. Rolandria. She's going to share her dissertation, her research, as well as her lived experiences. So we want you to be fully engaged in this conversation, and we're so excited. I'm now going to pass it over to Letitia, who will be introducing our guest today. I think you're muted, Letitia.
Sorry, I didn't want to hear them back. Hi, good afternoon, everyone. This is
Sounds
Letitia Stewart.
Letitia, you're sounding a little. We apologize, everyone. The audio sometimes is a little sketchy, but if you can maybe do a little bit of troubleshooting, it's sounding like you're almost like a robot or underwater.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, try to adjust it. You sounded good right before when we were in the studio.
Right.
Of
Yeah,
course,
so
that's always how it happens. We all know that.
try to adjust it a little bit. And in the meantime, I'll do the honor of reading Dr. Rolandria's bio while you get your audio fixed so we can keep the show rolling. Thank you all for being patient with us. These things happen. It's live, it's real, and it's a part of life. So thank you for being patient with us. But I'll do the honor of introducing Dr. Rolandria. So after graduating from Duke University, Dr. Rolandria began her career as a middle school teacher in Newark, Jersey. While she loved being in the classroom, she realized how vital effective school leadership is to the school's success and became an administrator. Her passion for educational leadership and entrepreneur spirit caused her to relocate to Massachusetts, where she became the founding principal of a charter school in New Bedford. Amazing. Scholars in that school successfully outperformed the surrounding district schools while providing an inclusive environment centered around qualities such as services, integrity, and accountability. When she married and began to have children, her life as a day-to-day school leader ended, but her desire to support schools did not. She became a consultant leadership coach and has partnered with several organizations, districts, and schools to create and facilitate high quality leadership programs for schools and teacher leaders. She completed her doctorate in educational leadership with the hopes of centering more Black female voices and important school and educational conversation. She also started her own consulting company focused on supporting individuals, teams, and organizations with leadership development. Amazing. Thank you so much, Dr. Rolandria, for joining us. We are excited to share this space with you. We want to formally welcome you.
Thank
Again,
you.
she is our previous board member, but she's still connected to us, and we are so appreciative of her. Thank you so much, Dr. Rolandria, for being with
Of
us.
course. Thank you so much for the opportunity to share my voice and get my experiences out there. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Letitia, you can just sort of jump in if your audio's working better. You want to try it really quickly? Nope. I think you come out. We'll let Mrs. Campbell jump in. Mrs. Campbell will hold it down. She'll hold down a fort for you. Yeah, that was not a pleasing sound to our ear.
And guys, please, we swear that literally right before we started, everything was fine.
Everything was fine. The moment we went live, it's like all this
Literally the moment.
chaos. But Dr. Rolandria, can you tell us a little bit about your journey? I know you're a mom now.
Yeah.
Beautiful children, and you're so dedicated to being a mother, but also to uplifting Black female voices. And can you talk a little bit about what that journey has been for you?
Yeah, well, I mean, so you said a lot of the actual kind of like things that have gone on along that journey. But I think the one thing that I would want to add is the confidence that I have learned to instill in myself as a result of that journey, right? Because along the way, there were constant setbacks, there were constant things that were designed to make me believe that I wasn't good enough, to make me believe that there was something wrong with me, to make me believe that this, whatever this it is not for you. And so I think that one of the things that I have learned over these years, and even with being a mom, is how important it is, particularly as Black women, that we are looking in and realizing how much we do have to offer and how much we do have to give to others, so that we're not constantly feeling like we're dirt on the bottom of someone's shoe. And so now that I have two little girls of my own, one of the things that I realized is how much I needed to model what I wanted them to see. So, and this is just a quick example, but for example, one day I was in my room and I was sitting there and I was, doing my hair, and I'm sitting there and I'm straightening my hair. And one of my girls is about 2 years old at the time, and she's just sitting there and looking at me. And what I realized in that moment is that for me, part of the reason why I was straightening my hair is because I had been told for so many years that my hair was not good enough.
Wow. Wow.
Right. And so because I'd been told that, and I even asked my mom one time, I'm like, Mom, when did you first perm my hair? She was like, you were probably around 7 or 8. So for those years, I had lived thinking that, damn, your hair is not good enough. There's something wrong with it. And I realized in that moment that I saw one of my twins watching me is that I was passing that down to her.
Right.
And so at that moment, I decided, you know what, I'm going to transition to natural hair. And believe me, it was the toughest transition because I didn't know how to do my hair.
Right.
I didn't. I was like a 35-year-old, 32-year-old woman, and I didn't even know that my hair was curly. So it was one of those things where I was like, you know what? I had to realize how much I had to be okay with myself in order for them as little Black girls growing up and being okay with themselves. And so it's little things like that, not little, but it's things like that that I have learned along the way. And I'm still learning, right? Because there are definitely a lot of days where I'm like, listen, let me just go and get these Malaysian bundles, right? And like just throw it in there, right? Like, but I'm like, no, this is a journey. You have to, right? And like, and so I'm learning to embrace all of these things that I have been systemically told over the course of my life, either implicitly or explicitly, you're not good enough. And so, that's kind of the only thing I right now that I want to add to, what you added, is that along the way, I'm learning to be more and more confident and accept and love and embrace all of the things that come with me and with being a Black woman, being a tall Black woman, right? Like, one of the things we talked about before we started to talk about this is this one of the tropes that Black women get, which is the angry Black woman. Right. Oh, yeah. So now add on top of that being 5'10", 5'11". Mm-hmm. Right. So now I can look at people in their face. I'm sorry, there's an echo. I can look at men in their eyes, right? So if I'm not smiling, then I'm definitely looked at as being aggressive, right? Or I'm definitely looked at as, ooh, she's so angry. So I've also walked in the world feeling like I had to smile all the time, because if I didn't smile, then people were going to think I was angry and not approachable, and all of these things that we constantly get and hear as Black women. So that's the only thing I would add, Shanequa, to what you said about my bio, is that I'm learning along the way this confidence that I'm like, yo, people who I met 20 years ago, you wouldn't even know what to do with me right now, because this person that you're seeing now is going to share her story because she understands that it's not just her story. So
I love that. I love that so much. You said so many amazing things that we all really resonate. Our here as Black women is like, it's a journey. I mean, it is
absolutely.
Sometimes we're like, I'm not going nowhere because my hair is looking crazy.
Hello.
But it is you're here. And I know even laws, some of our laws have reflected that, right? I know that in New York, there was a law, Senator Jamal Bailey, I don't know if he actually co-sponsored that bill, but there was a law in New York about the hair not able to have like braids and certain things. It's like, where did that come from? It's systemically racist. And sometimes we don't challenge it. We don't realize that we've been told there's something wrong with your hair. And the first thing when I seen you, I said, I love your hair.
I know. That's part of why the reason it was on my head.
Love the curls. It's a part of us. It's a part of us as Black women, a part of what we need to learn to embrace and to love. But society, a lot of times, they do tell us things like, there's something wrong with your hair. There's something wrong with your skin. There's something wrong with you because you're a Black woman. But the fact that you were able to even catch that story was really profound, that you gave about your daughter watching you in the mirror, and so symbolic in so many ways. But the fact that you were able to catch that and say, wait a minute, by even straightening my hair, I'm passing down the same stereotype to my daughter. And I think that, that's something that we probably don't really think about enough as moms. But it's so important that we're looking at even how our kids and our daughters are picking up the messages that we may not be saying out of our mouths, but that we're doing in action.
Absolutely.
Thank you for that, Rolandria.
Absolutely.
Catherine and Letitia, I didn't know if any of you wanted to jump in for a sec before we went into our next question.
I know, I'm kind of scared. Can you hear me better now?
You're good now.
Okay, good. So yeah, I actually did want to chime in on that, because you mentioned it's like the little things, and it's funny how the little things can actually expand into big things, later on in life, and you don't realize it's like those little small messages, but they get internalized, and they're like very subtle, and then they show up later as an adult, and sometimes you don't understand why you're thinking a certain way, why you're reacting a certain way to certain situations. And it's like, it's because of this seed that was planted when you were younger that's manifesting itself later on in life. And
That
you
you
have to
didn't
now
even know
try
was
to,
there.
right, you didn't even realize it was there. And then you have to kind of do this introspective, like self discovery to figure out, like, why am I thinking this way? Why am I behaving this way? Why am I doing these things when, it's like it's almost on auto mode. You're like on auto mode. It's not even conscious. This.
Thanks, Letitia, for that. And so true. It's seeds planted. And I was thinking about that concept of seeds planted and wondering how many seeds have been planted in the minds of us growing up. And I think a lot of times those seeds, they germinate, they grow throughout life. And we may not be aware of when was it planted, who planted it, and just starting to challenge and uproot those seeds that don't belong there. But Dr. Rolandria, I wanted to give you an opportunity to talk about your research, your dissertation. I was so ecstatic. You told me it's about Black women. I'm like, we gotta hear that. So
Yes.
that's what you're
So
working on.
I graduated from Georgia State with my doctorate in educational leadership. And I wrote my dissertation on Black women and the intersections of being a Black woman who went to school in the United States, who it was a Black school leader to Black children, and as a Black mother to Black children. And I did that for a couple reasons. One is that because I had experienced schooling here myself, I knew a lot of the challenges that I went through as a child and wanted to make sure that that wasn't lost. But then also as a Black school leader to Black children, particularly being a Black female school leader, there were also so many times where I felt, even though I'm the leader of the school, this man who comes in and to meet with the principal automatically goes to the white teacher who is my associate teacher. Meanwhile, I'm the principal. And so there were all of these different ways where I felt like even as a school leader leading Black children, my voice was silenced. Oh. And then on top of that, as a Black mother to Black children, there were times when I had to go into my children's school to advocate for them. I'll give you this one example, and I write about it in my dissertation. So my son had been in private speech since he was 2 years old because his daycare flagged for me, hey, mom, just want to let you know, he may have a speech delay. You should go and get that checked. So I went and got that checked. It turned out he did need speech for articulation, vocabulary, all of that. Now, mind you, in my mind, I'm thinking, let me address this now because my son, I'm 5'11", 5'10", my husband's 6'3". So I already know my baby's going to be a big boy, right? And what I'm not going to allow is for his lack of articulation or his lack of vocabulary to make schools think that he's aggressive or make kids think that they can't interact with him. So let me get this addressed now. But we were living in New Jersey at the time, and they had free pre-K for 3-year-olds. So now he's going into school. And I'm trying to do the process of, I don't want to continue to take you to private speech and have to pay a copay every time and do all that. Let me get you speech at school. So we go through the process, and now it's time for us to have this meeting. So you have me, you have his teachers, you have the psychologist, you have all of these people. And I was the only Black face in that room. And on top of that, I'm getting talked at and not talked to. So now, mind you, in my mind, not only do I know this little boy better than any of you in this room ever will, right? Not only do I know what it's like to be a Black child growing up in America, right? But on top of that, I'm a school leader. I'm a principal. I have a master's. I have a degree from Duke University, and yet you're still talking at me when it comes to about my child. And I walked out of that meeting, and I literally in the hallway cried in the arms of the little, beautiful woman, short little white social worker. I literally cried in her arms because I was so frustrated by how that meeting had went. and the lack of consideration of the fact that I'm trying to tell you guys what he needs now, because I don't want to be having this conversation about you trying to kick him out when he's a 5th grader and is 5'9", right? and can't articulate his words to people, right? And so that was one of the things I wrote about in my dissertation, because that experience, I walked out of that room and thought, damn, how many other parents walked out of my school feeling the exact same way, because they didn't feel like they were heard, because they didn't feel like we are actually appreciated the knowledge they bring about their child when they come into the school. And so it was one of those things where I had to write about that, because it was such a profound experience for me, an experience that I have taken with me in my subsequent jobs. But I also wanted to understand, am I the only one who feels like this? Is it just me?
No, you're not.
So
That is the every Black in America. And it's, when you were talking about your story, I was visualizing everything, and it just brought me back to some of my own personal experiences that we don't have time to talk about. But just being able to relate to that, doesn't matter what your degree is, your pedigree, like the way you speak, how articulate you are, your position, you'll still be seen as not good enough, not educated enough, not qualified enough. And what makes matters worse is it's your own child. Who else is more qualified to speak about your child but you? And so, it's so disheartening when I hear these types of stories. And one of the things that we talk about a lot within the executive team, you'll see that some of the members here now, is how do we empower parents? How do we give the power back to parents? Because in so many respects, Black parents have been so stripped of their rights and are not able to advocate for their children, because they're essentially so disenfranchised by the DOE system, right? And you being that school leader, have gone through, have led, have co-founded a charter school, you have that firsthand experience, what it's like. Wondering, as we're sort of 7 minutes to time, if you can speak to some of the ways that we can essentially challenge that broken system and begin to create a voice for Black moms.
So the first thing that I would suggest is to put the needs of your child above the uncomfortability that you think that other people are going to have. And I'm hard stop right there, because I feel like a lot of what we do, particularly as Black women, is we're more concerned about you being comfortable, that we don't say and do certain things that we would. And for me, what I found is that then that made it hard for me to look at myself in the mirror. Because in my mind, I'm like, yo, I should have said something. Or, you know what, why'd I let her give that little snide remark, right? Like, no. So now Rolandria now is going to say the things that Rolandria needs to say, right? So now, my son is in 4th grade. He is literally 5'3" as a 9-year-old, right? My girls are right. My girls are 7 and they're in 2nd grade. And when I have conversations with their teachers, I'm talking about the fact that they are Black children. I'm letting that be known that, yep, this mom is thinking that way. Yes, absolutely. Because what you're not going to do is to make one of the little girls that I write about in my dissertation, her name was Izzy. And she was a 10-year-old Black girl with autism who went to school in Utah. And Izzy last year, after dealing with racism from not only the students in her school, but the teachers as well, and dealing with school leaders not addressing these things that they needed to address, went home and hung herself.
Oh, Lord.
And I have a 7-year-old daughter who has autism. You are not going to make my baby feel like she is nothing and then have me dealing with the pain of that for the rest of my life. No, we're not doing that. Not with mine. And I think that making that clear to whoever you need to make it clear to. And I do mean that for everyone, because of, one of the things I also talk about in my dissertation, this idea that just because you're a person of color doesn't mean that you're going to automatically relate to the experiences of other people of color. So for me, that is my advice. Do not allow the potential uncomfortability of other people to make you not say or do the things that are in your heart that you know need to be said and need to be done.
I love that. I love that so much. It really is advocating for yourself, and
Absolutely.
that it's
yourself, your children, like, and what you
Absolutely.
know is right. You're advocating for what you know is the correct and right thing.
I can't remember who said it. One of you will probably know. But the idea that if you don't speak up, then people will kill you and say that you liked it or that you loved it, right? Like this idea that if you don't speak up about what's going on, you will get run over, and then they'll say, yeah, but that's what she wanted. No, I'm going to make it very clear what's acceptable, because I do the same thing for my children. I'm very clear about what's acceptable, what's not. So if I'm going to do that with them and their babies, I'm absolutely going to check an adult. Absolutely. And we'll go from wherever we have to go from there. But like, you're going to know and hear my perspective, because you're not going to make my babies feel like they're lower than nothing, like I did, like I felt so often, and had to overcome that, right? And had to figure out, oh, wait, no, you're not this terrible person that people have either implicitly or explicitly allowed you to think that you are. No,
right.
Nope.
And so that story that you told is so is so unfortunate, and to just hear that a child needs were not being met, and caused her to take her own life.
Yeah.
It's, and suicide is real amongst our kids as young as 9 years old. So these are the implications that that racism has, that systemic racism and
Very
oppression,
much.
discrimination has on our kids. Our kids are not, unfortunately, they're not at the age where they can essentially process things the way we can. Their brains are still
Nope.
developing. They're so vulnerable. And
That's very true.
we say things like,
Absolutely.
okay,
Absolutely.
fine. That bothers me. Yes, they're resilient, but they need support, and they need to be treated according to their worth and according to what they deserve. And so we find that a lot. Our Black girls, more specifically, are not treated right. So I know we're 2 minutes to time.
I know, right? Are we doing part 2 next week?
Yeah, this needs to be like an hour-long discussion because there's so much to be said.
But I want to ask if you can leave some advice to just to moms, and to even teachers and those that are in education, on what does it look like to better support our Black girls, especially in the area of education, and to support them in the area of confidence and self-esteem.
The one thing that I would say is, and I say this to so many, particularly women, and particularly Black women, you are built for this. Do you understand what I'm saying? You are built for this. And what I mean when I say that is, when you actually look through and reflect back on all the things that you have had to overcome, things that would have knocked other people on their asses and they would not have gotten up, and you have still gotten up, and you have still said, I'm going to continue to fight this. I'm going to continue to try and improve. I'm going to continue to try and make things better. Those are the people that you need to understand. You're built for this. As much as you don't want to believe it, as much as you, like, the seed feels like it's a mustard seed, right? Where it's so small, it's there. And what I need you to understand is, it's not going to grow. That garden is not going to prosper unless you really look in the mirror and say, I am built for this. And if not me, then who or whom? I don't know. But do you know what I mean? Like, because the more confident we feel in our abilities to make a positive impact, the more confident we feel, the less we're going to be silenced. The less we're not, because we understand the power of it. And we understand that it's not just for our own selves, but you're doing this for that generation of girls who are coming up, that generation, like one of my daughters who said to me at 4 years old, Mommy, I want to be white. Right. And that's with me doing all this and with all the pictures and stuff that we have around the house. And when we talked about it, it really wasn't that she necessarily wanted to be white. She wanted to be a princess. And all the princesses she saw were the Elsas of the world and the Annas of the world. Right. And so this idea that getting her to understand, baby, you're built for this. You're built for this. Mommy's built for this. We got you. Has been so helpful with helping her confidence to grow, and my confidence and my confidence in my ability to be the best mom that she needs for me to be able to go out in the world and be successful.
I love that so much. I just want to wrap that up, but you said, just teaching your daughter, your children in the home. Sometimes we underestimate the value of teaching those lessons in the home to our kids.
Absolutely.
That you are built for this. You are more than enough. I do little affirmations with my daughter.
Yes.
Where she goes to school, and she secretly loves it, although she acts like she
hates
it. I am a genius. I am brilliant. I'm like, repeat after me. I'm brilliant. I'm genius. I can do anything. I'm the star. I'm rising. I can do anything.
I'm getting goosebumps. I love it.
Yes.
That's what they need to hear.
Yes. Those messages in the mind of the children is so important. And so I love the fact that you're doing that, Rolandria. And sometimes, again, we underestimate the value and parents pouring in to our own children. And sometimes we're so broken, and our sense of self-esteem and our sense of self-confidence is so fragmented and so fragile that we don't essentially have the tools to be able to give to our kids, to pour into them. But this is why we have to empower our Black women and let them know that you are built for this. You can do it. You are more than enough. You belong there, and you have everything that it takes to get to that next level and to be successful. Don't let society define or dictate who you are meant and purpose to be. So I love that, Dr. Rolandria. I know we're at the very end, but I wanted to just give you a few moments to just give us any last words, and then if Mrs. Campbell has anything to say before we end too, I'd love to hear from her. But any last words for us?
The only thing I would say, Shanequa, is not only can we do all those things, but I would say that as Black women, we are needed. Our voices are needed now more than ever. Yes. Right? We see what's going on in the world. Your voice is needed in a way that to not speak up, to not instill that confidence in yourself and in your children, you're doing more harm than good. So let's go. Let's go.
I love that so much.
Yeah, I would just say, in addition to considering our young Black girls coming after us, just thinking about those who came before us. How you said we're built for this. We're built for this because they fed into us. And the interesting part is that they didn't have a voice. Just thinking about the status quo and what they came through. My mother, my grandmother, everything that they had to endure just to even for me to be sitting here in this seat today.
Yep.
and to be educated today and to be able to pass that on to my son, and him to pass it on to his children when he has those children. It's like I feel like I need to speak for them as well, because
Love
if
it.
they did speak up, it almost cost them their life to do so. So since they couldn't talk, I have to be that voice, and then I
Yes,
got to make
ma'am.
sure that the ones after me are also speaking too. So you also are going to speak for those women that came up before
Love
you.
it.
So it's like we have to stand where we are right now. Like, just take their strength, their energy that they had, and just through those times to feed into us.
Yep.
Like, we're in such a better position. We have to.
I agree.
And like you said, it would be completely irresponsible not to feed into those that
Agreed.
come in up behind us. So we definitely have to make our girls feel confident, know that they are, they don't have to necessarily live up to a standard. The only standard that you have to do is, who do you want to be, and have that real understanding of who they want to be and understanding their own self-value. That's
Yes,
it.
ma'am.
That's what you do. You live up to your value, but you got to know that you have value.
Mm.
Catherine? She might be having issues with her.
Lord, I think so.
That's
That's
a
a
place to
place to
end.
end.
Dr.
Dr.
Rolandria,
Rolandria,
sure.
sure.
During this
During
listen to your story, listening to the great research that you've been able to embark on, hoping that it continues spreading and people continue reading and just taking that message and uplifting and elevating it. Right
Yeah.
on the screen, you can see where you can find Dr. Rolandria's dissertation. Please do check it out. We want to support the work that she's done. It's great. We have to elevate the voices of Black women. I see Catherine back on, so I'll give her one more chance to try to say something before I close out. I think you're muted, Catherine. Still muted. Did you
No,
try turn?
I was reading your lips. I think I couldn't hear you.
Did you try turning up the volume or on your device? Uh-oh. Yeah, we can't hear you. So sorry. This has been a challenging technology session.
Listen, we'll talk next time we do part 2.
We hear you. We can do I
That's
love
right. That's right. That's right.
I love
I
that
love
so
that
much.
so much.
But we
But we
appreciate you
appreciate
coming
you
up
coming
yet
up
again,
We
again.
do.
sharing the space with us. Thank you for the work that you're doing, just
Of
for being an
course.
example to your children in itself. That right there, it's an example for us to follow as parents. We want to create a culture where parents are empowered and they
Yeah.
feel like they have the power to make decisions for their children, especially in the arena of education. And it's such an inspiration to see that you're doing that. And many parents I know need to have that same fire and that same skill level, but they need the support of us to get
Yeah.
there. So
Absolutely.
keep pushing, keep doing the amazing work that you're doing. School leadership is essential and so pivotal, especially today. So thank you again, Dr. Rolandria. Thank you for those that have been watching and tuning in. Please
Can I say
share.
one more thing?
Yes, please go for it.
Can I say thank you to you all too in iRaise, because the awareness that you all are bringing to mental health and to our kids and what they need is so essential, especially given again with everything that we're going through. And I just want to make sure that I don't lose sight of the work that you all are doing, and hopefully continuing to do that work in as many schools as you can, because it is very, very needed and very appreciated.
Thank you so much, Dr. Landria.
Of course.
Yes,
We
thank you for that.
Of course.
the, the teachers
The
in one of the
teachers in one of
schools,
the schools.
but we are I'll actually be releasing a video in just a few minutes on some of the updates to the mental health program that we've been so excited about, and we're continuing to plow forward and support our kids in a time when they need us the most. So we appreciate you. We can't do
Love
this
it.
alone. We need the partnerships of everyone. We're all in this together, and we care about our kids. We care about their success. We care about their future. And so we got to continue working together. Thank you, Dr.
I
Rolandria.
love it. Love it.
Thank you all to those that have been watching and tuning in. We appreciate you all so much. Thank you for your support. To all of our followers, continue to stay tuned to the great work that we're doing. Elevate this message, please, please, please. Help
Yes.
us out and just continue to share this out wide. Share it to your network, share it to your friends and to your colleagues, because we want to continue inspiring and motivating others. This is why we do our fireside chat. I want to wish everyone a happy holidays.
Yes.
I I don't know if we'll be on next week, but stay tuned. We might be having a segment on the 22nd. Until then, please stay safe. Happy holidays. If you celebrate Thanksgiving, happy Thanksgiving. Please stay safe. Share a love, spread gratitude, spread kindness. It is free to do that. Okay.
Love it.
We appreciate all of you. Again, thank you so much for your support and stay tuned. We'll see you again soon.